freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 323 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearmsauctions.com, where you set the price on guns, ammo, and accessories. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is the Sentinel over the audit. And our guest is Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers. Senator Rogers is a conservative American, first Republican in Arizona's LD6 district. She's a retired Air Force Lt Col and pilot, business entrepreneur, and a homeschool mom.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show, Senator Rogers.
Oh, it's very exciting for me to be with all of you. Thank you, Cheryl. I'm broadcasting to you from the Valley right now because today, Monday, the 14th of June, I will be on the floor of the State Senate. We are resuming our session today. I represent Northern Arizona, and it cuts across 4 counties, Yavapai County, Gila County, Navajo County, and of course, where I live, Flagstaff, Coconino County. And it goes all the way from Williams, which is the gateway to the Grand Canyon, all the way over to Holbrook, which is, of course, where Petrified Forest is, and then down through Heber Overgaard, Snowflake Taylor, all of Payson, the Verde Valley, the 4 Cs, I call them, which are Clarkdale, Cottonwood, Camp Verde, and Cornville, and then all of Sedona and all of Flagstaff. So I'm very honored to not only have served my country for 20 years as an Air Force pilot, and my husband as well as an Air Force engineer. We have been married 43 years. We served alongside one another for 20 years. But to represent my state, where I went to pilot training, where we decided to retire from the Air Force 25 years ago, hard to believe, and where we raised our kids. So in the background, you'll see a portrait of our son, George, who became a Marine officer. Also in the background, you'll see 2 sabers from my ancestors who fought in the Civil War. And so I'm a consecutive fifth generation military officer. Our son, George, depicted behind me, was the 6th generation in my family to serve. So this is very important to us to keep alive the fire of the Republic. And so that's why the Arizona audit has been something that I've been down to almost every day last week and will be happy to talk to.
It's fantastic. And thank you so much for your service, for your family's service. This is such an incredible generational family thing that you have going there, and that the state of Arizona now benefits from, to have people that really get it, right? They get what the Constitution is about and why it's so important to preserve our republic. And if we can't even know that our elections are free and fair and accurate and safe, then I don't know what direction we could possibly expect our republic to go. So thank you for all of that. And as you mentioned, today is Monday, June 14th, that we're in the studio of 2021. And it happens to be Flag Day. And I think that it wasn't planned that way, but I think it was meant to be, that we would be talking about this. I've heard it called the America's Audit, the Arizona audit, because as our state goes with this audit, I think many other states will follow. And so it's appropriate, I think, that that's on on
So,
Flag Day.
so we got to get to the news. What is happening with the audit?
Danny is chomping
Well,
at the bit here.
that's good, Dan. Today, we should wrap up with the actual counting. The audit, though, is a 2.1 million ballot deep dive forensic audit, which is much, much different than what anyone is used to hearing about. I have hosted, first I'll tell you who I've hosted, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the details of what is getting looked at. I've hosted state legislator equivalents from Virginia, from Washington State, Nevada, trying to think where else, Wisconsin, just day before yesterday. Several states, I want to say at least 10 states now have come out. That has wound down now. We aren't having any more visitors. What the audit has been comprised of is a several phase approach. Cyber Ninjas is the overarching prime contractor. They are an application security company. They can look at an app, as it were, to see where it might be flawed. Then you have Cypher, CY, capital F, capital I, capital R, which looks at databases. And they are the ones, in fact, Cypher are the ones who discovered the Office of Personnel Management database breach a few years ago, where all of us who had secret or top secret clearances had our information compromised. So,
oh my gosh,
it is to say that these companies that the Arizona Senate hired are the best in the business. They have the top most prestigious clearances, and they have the best forensic capabilities. And it's interesting because if you ask President Karen Fann, my Senate colleague, my Senate president, how she was able to put this all together, she will tell you that you do not open the yellow pages to find a company that can audit elections. This has never been done before. Arizona is unprecedented in the scope and the depth of this kind of audit. And that's why these other states who want to do something similar, whether or not they have the political horsepower or the advantage in their state legislatures party-wise to do it, they certainly want to see it before it's done. It'll be done. The actual hands-on analysis of the ballots will be done the 30th of June. And it has to be because the lease runs out with the Phoenix Coliseum. So if you want to still see what's going on the floor of the Phoenix Coliseum, all eyes are on, and you can go to this website for live camera footage, azaudit.org, azaudit.org. And those cameras are on all the time. I think there are 9 cameras, plus every counting station, every evaluation station has at least 2 cameras, one up top and one to the side. So there is complete transparency. Other than the colored counting Lazy Susan tables you might have seen in the footage, there is also a huge and growing every day, because this is now where the bulk of the ballots is going, examination tables. And these are cameras with microscopic capability. So every ballot is photographed, and then there are 4 little tubular microscopic focused camera lenses, 4 on each quadrant of the ballot, to look at the corner of the ballot to see what kind of fibers the paper is. It also looks at a target crosshairs symbol that can be evaluated from the back to the front of the paper, and whether or not it aligns. There is also the capability to see these little yellow watermark dots in the paper. But I think the most amazing aspect of this forensic analysis of the paper is that you can look at the oval where the person marked who he voted for, and you can see if it was marked by a human or not, because you could see the depth of the paper and the imprint into the paper. And so this is an amazing amount of technology that has been marshaled together, but also equally, or maybe even more impressive, has been the evolution of best business practices. They have, the contractors have hired the best in the business from all over the United States. This is not just Arizona professionals. Many of the people on the floor, and by the way, there are at least 2 or 3 attorneys walking around the floor all day to ensure that this is a legally pristine environment. There is no chatter. There is no extraneous talk. It reminds me of the inside of a cockpit when you're on headset, when you're flying. You don't talk about the day's events or what you dreamt last night. It's all on task, okay? Also, what comes to mind from my Air Force background is the chain of custody acute procedures and the accountability that comes from that. On an Air Force flight line, you'll be spread eagled if you go past the guard without showing your line badge. Well, at the Arizona audit, you not only have armed guards 24/7, but you have to sign off everything. If you go to the bathroom for 10 minutes, you have to sign off whatever material you're handling. I even interviewed a fellow Air Force officer volunteer who had been a pilot like me, and he was telling me this. He said, "Wendy, this is stricter than Strategic Air Command when I flew tankers." And this guy was a general officer, by the way. So that really, really is something that you can take to the bank. And so you have this deep dive onto the composition and the writing on the ballot. You have the counting of the ballots. You have the aggregation of those counts. You have 3 different people counting the vote. And by the way, this is just the presidential and the US Senate races, 2 races, okay? People ask me, well, Wendy, could it go to other counties? Could it go down ballot to other races? Certainly the capability is there, but right now, this is what is being done. And it is just something you can be very proud of as Arizonans. And then you say to me, well, you don't, your race didn't involve Maricopa County. You would be right. But Maricopa County is ground zero for the abundance of votes, of course, for the state, 2.1 million ballots.
Wendy, do they?
And it's not, excuse me, just one second. It's not about necessarily, as far as I know, trying to go back and overturn anything that happened.
Correct.
This is just about, let's make sure that our elections are what we believe they are, and that everyone can have confidence. That's the thing that it strikes me as so weird, that anybody would be against this, and that they're trying to, say things like, oh, they're looking at the composition of the paper. How crazy are you? And all I can think about is counterfeit money, right? I mean, have people done every kind of thing they can possibly do to, using different papers, using different inks, using different, artistic techniques to counterfeit money? Why would we, in our wildest dreams, not think that someone might try to counterfeit ballots in an election with the consequences that we're dealing with, at the level of the office that they call the most powerful office in the free world? I mean, it boggles my mind that anybody would push back on this and try to undermine it in any way.
Absolutely. Everyone should embrace this. This is what we call the restoration of election integrity. This is so that we get it right for 2022. This is so we can enact, yes, ma'am, to enact legislation from the lessons learned that we got from this exercise. But it's also to say that we will not stop until we get to the truth
Yes,
of 2020.
absolutely. I interrupted
So
you. I
Wendy,
apologize. Go ahead.
you said you have 2.5 million paper ballots?
2.1.
Is that every ballot that was in Arizona then?
No,
Or
Maricopa
sample?
County only.
Just Maricopa County only?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so we've been seeing a headline or two having to do with you and Merrick Garland, our new U.S. Attorney General, I believe is who this is, right?
Yes.
And so I don't know how realistic this is. Is he saber rattling? Because the article that I'm reading says that he might perhaps come and want to seize all the machines and the documents having to do with the audit. Is that, I mean, is there real strength behind that, or is he just kind of throwing some words around?
I don't know what he's doing, but I will put a message back to him from Arizona that he will be legally dealt with if he tries such a stunt. This has been
Strong
upheld.
words.
Our audit has been upheld by 4 courts. This is a states' right issue. We as a state legislature, in particular, the Arizona State Senate, has been vested with the power to lead the audit, not only lead the audit, but to ensure election integrity. We have been thwarted at every turn, but not denied. And so we will finish. We will report to our state for whom we work.
Yes.
And the rest of the country can look at the data. This is data driven. And as I mentioned before, we have to get to the truth. Affidavits galore on anecdotal evidence of impropriety. And so it is our responsibility. It is the Arizona State Senate's responsibility to get to the bottom, to investigate and do this as a state. And the federal government needs to understand they will be legally dealt with if they overstep their boundaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And
Why would he do
strength
that?
of-
Why? That's what I don't understand. Why would an attorney general think that it's okay to do that? What are they hiding?
Good question. I think there has been increased attention federally due to the fact that so many states have come out here now to Arizona and have unequivocally stated that these procedures are above reproach, they're completely objective, and they're unprecedentedly deep and far-ranging. And they will be irrefutable when the results come out.
And that is what we need. We need it to be believable no matter
Right.
which side, where you land as a human being on the political spectrum. You need to be able to go, okay, I believe that everything was controlled and it was legal and it was done with the idea of just finding facts and not with like a preconceived notion of where we should end up at the end of the audit. So that is the key to all of this.
Well, I want to ask, Wendy, so when this audit is over on the 30th, if the results come back either way, are you going to be satisfied that the audit was 100% perfect, ready to go?
I will be. And make no mistake, it will take weeks to compile the results. And
Right.
the results are being evaluated on several levels, both in terms of the machines, the paper ballots themselves, the connectivity to where those machines were connected. And I'm not a software person. I mean, I'm a pilot with a background as a clinical social worker, but I have visited the audit so many times now, and every time I go, I learn more. And all of this, by the way, everyone, is compiled into 3 different chronological after action reports on my Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/Wendy Rogers AZ, Wendy Rogers AZ, you'll see my after action reports. And in those reports, I detail what the procedures have been, what the steps have been that have been followed. And all of this is to say it came out of the mouth of none other than the CEO of Cyber Ninjas and was cleared by him before I put it out. And he told me one time, he said, Senator Rogers, you have to understand that the left has tried to redefine the word evidence to be proof, or proof to be evidence, whichever way you look at it. He said, think about it like this. You get up in the morning and your lawn is wet out in front of your house. That's the evidence. Now you have to find out to prove what caused that. Did it rain last night? Did your neighbors water the lawn? Did your sprinklers go off? Was it the morning dew? So what you do then is you investigate, which is what we're doing now. And then you draw a conclusion, which comprises part of the proof. He said, but what has happened is the left has redefined and conflated the terms evidence and proof. We have evidence. We just need to now prove why and how that evidence occurred. And the courts won't take it, right, wrong, or indifferent. So it's up to us. It's up to the Arizona State Senate to do this.
Wow. And this is your first term, right?
The reason I ask this is because I myself personally, with everything that I've heard, and I'm not a senator, I'm not a pilot, I'm nobody. I'm just a guy that votes for people. All right. And I don't feel that the elections were right. So listening to you and telling me what we're going through now with the results of this election, I will feel confident that it was done right or done wrong. And I will finally have some evidence to back that. So
absolutely.
I
and thank you, because now we've learned as we've gone along that maybe we need to institutionalize this. Maybe we need to have an audit capability each time and every time at any level that we can utilize. Why not? I mean, in the military, after every inspection, we do a hot wash and say, what did we get right and what did we get wrong? And how can we improve? How much more important is this than a military inspection? This is our country. This is our life. And if we as voters cannot have confidence in our election, where are we?
Exactly. And it's not like the idea of cheating in elections is like, we've just never even thought of that before. I mean, we look around the globe and we see that there are sham elections in other nations, other countries. And I don't know why we would think that we are completely immune to it, even if all it is a whole lot of human error and laziness or bad practices, not even nefarious, but just, things that could be done better. I don't understand why anyone is giving the pushback that they are, but I appreciate the strength and the perseverance to move forward and keep the ball moving forward with all of the obstacles that have been thrown in the way of the Senate.
Well, thank you. And a couple of other thoughts came to mind when you were saying that. Cyber Ninjas also told me, he said, Senator Rogers, the more technology is involved and able to be infused into the election process, the more chance for error and corruption that there is. And so I said, what would you tell my audience? I get asked every day, what would you recommend for the future? And he said, honestly, and I said, yes. And here he is, the CEO of a prestigious cyber forensic firm. And this is what he said. We should go back to paper. We should vote once, have the day off, have it be a national holiday, and only have exceptions for people, for example, who are completely unable to come in or who are serving overseas or in the continental US away from home in the armed services. That's the way it was when I was in the military, and for my husband as well. And so we need to get back to something that is tangible and something that we can track.
And the cyber guy is saying, paper is the
Right.
safest.
And-
Yes.
Right.
How
That's telling you
ironic.
something.
And the thing
Yes.
is, the American people, the Arizonans, don't need a cyber guy to tell us that. We already knew that.
Right.
We knew that you get one piece of paper for the vote, and
Yes.
you know, it's just, why give an opportunity for cheating to happen?
Absolutely.
Right. And also, I was showing this to my grandkids. I can run and grab it if you want me to. But the ballot of the future, I was showing them yesterday, we hope will be a ballot that has such intricate artwork in it. You have to look at it with a black light, which we otherwise use to look for scorpions with. And it also has a QR code that when you put your smartphone on it, it reveals data that is unique to that ballot, not your name, but it will correlate back to your voting record. And also there's a seal on it. So if a scanner passes over it and it doesn't beep, then it's invalid. In other words, it's a non-counterfeitable ballot. That's what we need to go to. And I asked my grandkids yesterday after church, so kids, how much do you think this ballot costs? And one of them guessed it. Our 7-year-old Jack guessed it right on. Only 20 cents. Do you
Whoa.
think we can afford 20 cents times
Wow.
5 million voters to make it $1 million? I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so as well. And I would love to see that if you have that. Why would you have
Yes.
that?
I have a sample, interestingly, because my state rep colleague, Mark Fincham, who is a great patriot who you need to have on the show.
Yes.
He's in great demand. And anyway, he has a sample and he gave it to me. And then I gave my blacklight flashlight to Sonny Borelli, my colleague,
Yes.
State Senator Sonny Borelli, who's the other retired military member in the state Senate. And he took my blacklight flashlight. So I had to order another one from Amazon. It's so
That's a good donation.
popular everywhere we go now. He, like every day this past week, he'd say, hey, Wendy, bring in the blacklight flashlight and that ballot, okay? And so I'd bring it in, and then all these other state delegations got to look at it. But it's not that hard to leap forward and have non-counterfeitable features in a paper ballot. So that would be the best of both worlds.
Man, if you could grab that, that would be.
Yeah, you want me to go get it
Yeah.
right now?
Please.
Yeah, I'd love
Okay,
to see it.
stand by.
Yeah.
And there we go. Oh, look at that.
Wow.
So you can see
Yes.
perhaps the words valid at the top.
I can't make that out, but I can definitely see that there are. Yes, I can see it.
Yeah.
Valid.
Okay, and then you'll see intricate
Mhm.
artistic design work
Mhm.
and all these little lines that make it not counterfeitable. And then you'll see the great seal of the state of
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yes.
And then you'll see the QR code here at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to put your smartphone camera lens on that, it would give you the data, much the same as when you go to a restaurant and order off the menu using a QR code.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, you'll see this seal
Yes.
and the copper state of Arizona over which you would scan, and then it would beep or not beep. This is again a notional ballot. And well, you can see where I spattered some stuff on there. It's been all over the state.
Yes.
So, and then you also see this little target crosshairs symbol in the top. And that's
Oh, yeah.
also another demarcation of authenticity. So this is
Fantastic.
really something. And this is a notional ballot from Tucson area, David Gowan, my colleague David Gowan. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out, especially to my colleagues who are, shall I say, kindred spirit colleagues who are rural like me. There are only 30 of us state senators. 16 of us are Republican, 14 are Democrat. So you see what I'm saying here? We only have a 1-vote majority. If we didn't have that 1-vote majority, we couldn't be doing this audit.
No.
If you had told me 2 years ago when I began to run for the state Senate from Flagstaff, hey, Rogers, do you realize that you being in the state Senate will be the chamber of the state, which will have the pivotal role in determining what happened in the presidential election of 2020, I would have said, I can't even imagine that.
No.
Yet here we are. And as it says in the book of Esther, but for such a time as this. Now, each one of us senators, you could say, is the 16th vote, of course, and you would be right. But there are very few of us who are rural. Okay, so out of the 30 of us, only 7 are rural legislators, Democrats and Republicans. And of the 7, 2 Republican rural legislators, David Gowan and Sonny Borelli, are very near and dear to me because we have the same ethos. We have constituents who want to make sure that they are represented, even though they are not in Maricopa County. So they are following this keenly.
Mm-hmm.
So Wendy, if you don't mind me asking, if the audit comes back that there was very much wrong with the audit, I mean, that there was things wrong with the election and that the vote would have been different if it would have been done right. So in other words, there was cheating. I understand that you just want, what your goal is to make sure that the next election is fair. But is there someone that's going to do something about the result of this election if they find that they were different?
That's a great question. We're in uncharted waters.
Right.
There is some talk about, well, could we recall our electors? Don't know. Do we need the political majority to do that? One would think. So at this point, we just have to persevere and get the data, get the truth, and then keep plodding along.
Yeah.
Right. And then the rest of that question is, there are other states interested in what we're doing, what you guys are doing right now.
Yes.
So if they find out that these results were that the election was falsified, and they have suspicion of their states, and will they go through the same process, you think?
Well, I hope so. But again, it depends on what their mechanisms for recourse are.
Right.
It depends on what political power they have. When you have the state of Washington come down, where they hail from a state that the Democrats dominate, they have their hands tied in so many words. When you have Pennsylvania, whose delegates have come out, great patriots. I got to know Doug Mastriano one-on-one through several conversations, who's also a retired Army officer. I'm a retired Air Force officer. We both have the parachute badge, so we both jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. But anyway, he and I really hit it off, and he's, I believe, running for governor in Pennsylvania. And what recourse do they have, you might ask? Well, they have a committee, a state government committee of their state Senate. And that committee, as they led me to believe, can order an audit on behalf of their state Senate. So for us, we have to vote as a Senate, i.e. 1614. My understanding, don't hold me to this, but my understanding is in Pennsylvania, it's that committee that can speak for the Senate, which is a little different, as you can see, than what we have. Now, they have a slightly larger Republican majority in the Pennsylvania state legislature than what we have. And again, you're going to find this where, say, for example, one chamber might be Republican, one might be Democrat, or you have a governor that's of a different party. Each of these states, however, who came out were undaunted and undeterred. They want to know.
Right.
They want to know what the gold standard has been. They want to be connected. I'm a great connector, so I have everybody's number now on my smartphone. But they want to know, how do we get this done in case we can do it?
Yeah.
who to call, how to get it done, the best business practices, which we have developed now over the course of several weeks. You might recall that we were off for a week because high school graduations had to take place at the Phoenix Coliseum. Well, no time was wasted because the folks at the audit used that time to get better business practices into being. These are people on the floor, by the way, I alluded to earlier, who have, for example, one guy has a PhD in business efficiency, whatever major that is. He was a county manager in another state. He did the training. I sat in on the training. Did you also know that 2,000, I say again, 2,000 people so far have volunteered at the audit?
Wow.
And they were
Awesome.
all background checked.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of the counters, people who sat at those colored Lazy Susan counting stations, each one of those individuals was a Maricopa County resident
Mm-hmm.
and had to have voted in the November 2020 election. We are talking skin in the game here.
Yes.
Right.
And people from, I believe I've heard, all across the political spectrum. It's not just
Absolutely.
Republican
we don't
voters
know.
that showed up to volunteer.
We don't know and did not ask and do not want to know
Mm-hmm.
what party they were from.
Beautiful. I love it. I know our time is ticking and we need to start wrapping up.
I'm not sure I
But-
want to go.
I know, me neither. But we have kind of talked about this like it is a Republican versus a Democrat issue, and it really is not.
It's American.
Right.
Exactly. It should be for all of us, just like our Constitution was written for everyone. It's not there's not a left and a right Constitution. It's just a Constitution for our United States. But one of the things that tells us that it's not strictly a Republican versus a Democrat issue is that many of the people on the state board of supervisors are Republicans. And
I know.
they've been obstructionists from the word jump with this thing. So that it's been a little confusing for those of us that like real clear cut lines, like we've got people with white hats, we got people with black hats,
Well,
so it's
I know, and it's
confusing.
inexplicable. And a lot of my colleagues have known these various supervisors over the years as friends. And so it was really discouraging to them to see that happening, to see the pushback against transparency, to see the complete lack of cooperation, the fact that they made us do it at the Coliseum rather than at the county, which is where we wanted to do it, so that there was minimal chain of custody question. But we just have risen to the occasion. President Fan, Sonny Borelli, former Senator Eddie Farnsworth, my colleague who I office with, Senator Warren Peterson, they have all stood firm, shoulder to shoulder throughout all this before I was sworn in. I mean, I got to sit in on the Rudy Giuliani hearings, which was a real honor before I was sworn in. And to have seen this go day after day, and to have seen my office mate, Warren Peterson, thrashing around with this day after day, while he still chaired during the daytime our Senate Judiciary Committee, of which I'm the vice chair. And plus, I mean, this is a citizen legislature. We're here at the most 6 months. We have jobs, we have businesses, we have lives. And, I'm a little more well situated because my family's grown and I don't have as many responsibilities as someone younger than I. But it is to say that there's an enormous amount of responsibility that we have just taken on as a state and as a state Senate. But I love this. I love that we are in the crossroads, at ground zero, at the pointy tip of the sword. Arizonans are tough.
Yes.
We are resolute. We
Yes.
are unflinching, and we have that Western independent mindset. And we do not want the federal government getting into our mess kit.
Boy, that's the
Right.
truth. That is the absolute truth. I'm going to end on this question. you are doing what is the most important thing that you could be doing right now to
Yes.
preserve our state, to preserve our union, our republic. What can you say to our listeners, not just here in Arizona? We have listeners all over the nation. We have listeners all over the world. So specifically to those in our republic, what is the most important thing that they can do right now as a citizen to protect and preserve our constitutional liberties?
You go on my Facebook, Wendy Rogers AZ, and you'll find 2 organizations you can donate to support the audit here and hopefully going forward in other states. Again, go to Wendy Rogers AZ. My final after action report, which was from a few days ago, has those 2 links on it. Also, follow me. I have a huge national support base, and it's because I can keep you informed with up to the minute information that you might not see in the news. WendyRogers.org. Wendy, like the hamburgers, Rogers with no D in Democrat, ROGERS, WendyRogers.org, O-R-G. You can sign up for my updates. I highly encourage you to do that. Again, I put out an email every few days, which shows what we've been doing and how we're trying to restore election integrity.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And really what that all boils down to is get involved.
Yes.
Right? Get educated, get involved, and support the people that are in the arena doing the work. So thank you so much.
Wendy, really, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. I met Cheryl at the Second Amendment rally downtown, and we were fired up, huh, Cheryl?
Yes, we
Well, that's awesome.
were.
I mean,
Absolutely.
if it wasn't for people like you, then we would just bow down and do whatever the
We can't.
power said.
No, we can't.
We
But no,
can't.
we cannot.
We have
Just
to
thank you.
rise up now. We have
For
to.
sure.
Thank you.
It's our country. And as Ronald Reagan said, we're only, a generation away from losing it if we don't rise up.
Exactly. That's how I'd say opener of our show is his speech saying exactly those words. We try to remind people every time they tune in that it's up to us in our generation to pass that baton forward. Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers, thank you so much for your service, your past service and your continued service. And we look forward to hearing future updates as to how this all plays out.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye-bye now.
Goodbye.
Amazing. That's all I got to say.
That to be able to see that example of that ballot, I'm hoping that everybody that's hearing this show is watching this show, because we have the audio only version and then we have the video
Who would
version.
deny that except for people that want to cheat?
Right? It's like, when they put those kind of watermarks on our driver's license, on our money, on our
to me, it's
passports.
like, right. And they talk about, okay, this audit costs too much money to do. And I think, well, look at all the spending the government's doing for stuff that we could say we don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
I want a fair election. If we're wrong about this, that there was no cheating and the elections were fair,
That would be amazing.
then now I'm satisfied and we can move on.
Exactly.
But I'm afraid that even with this, they're going to say, well, they cheated with that, whoa, that was a waste of money.
Yeah, they're going to try to say, get this, the people that think that the audit is unnecessary, they're probably going to say that the election was perfect and pristine, but the audit is, couldn't possibly be perfect and pristine. It's like, no.
So, but I will tell you this, I think there was cheating in the elections, gross cheating, not just a few, because we all know there's a couple, but I will publicly go on the air and say, I am sorry if this audit comes back as nothing was wrong.
I think that would be the ultimate, most awesome thing to find out is that, there's always going to be an error here, an error there, but it would be the best thing in the world if we truly found out, no, this audit showed us that we're doing everything really good.
Right.
That'd be amazing. There's a lot of us that don't believe that that's the case, and we're not applauding that. We're afraid of that.
Right.
Because if this one was bad, then how many others might have been bad? Or what if we hadn't have pushed through to
Right.
make this one, get this audit out and find out how to improve in the future? What does that mean for our future?
What it means is I'll be satisfied with the end results of this election.
Okay, good.
That's what it means.
All right, fantastic. What an amazing interview with one of our Arizona State Senators, Wendy Rogers. Again, she has a lot of information on her website and her Facebook page pertaining to this, and it is unfolding so quickly. Things are in real time. And I'm even going to move up the date that we were going to post her show because things are happening so quickly. And now we might have these weird developments going on with
Yeah, we should post it
U.S.
today.
Attorney General Merrick Garland. So you might even see that this episode appears out of order because I'm trying to move up the date to get this information out there. But such huge appreciation to the people that have marshaled on through this.
How is it Merrick Garland's business? It's not federal funds that are used to support this audit. It's none of their business.
Maybe
None.
because it's a
No,
presidential.
it doesn't
and
matter. This is done in the
I'm
state.
just saying in his mind.
But we're using
maybe he's
state.
thinking-
We're using state ballots.
I agree.
We're not
I agree.
using federal funds. Leave us alone. It's none of your business, Mr. Garland.
As
None.
Danny said. All right. So again, thank you to our awesome guest, Arizona
Why
Senator
I
Wendy
oughta.
Rogers. Huh?
Why I oughta.
Why you oughta. To the moon, Norton.
Yeah. You can't
Thank
say
you.
that.
No?
No. They wouldn't be
Bang,
able to breathe.
zoom to
They
the
wouldn't
moon,
be able to breathe up there.
Okay. Of our listeners out there, I wonder how many understood that, got that reference. It was
The
Jackie
honeymooners.
Gleason.
Honeymooners.
Right? From the Honeymooners. Gosh. And then the actor's name of Norton just left me, but somebody out there will know it.
Sullivan?
No. Anyway, the Honeymooners is
Jack-
an old black and white
Yeah.
TV show, and would be considered very non-PC these days. But anyway,
Jack Sullivan? No, maybe not. I don't know.
Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason.
and
Oh,
Norton.
no, Norton.
the
Okay,
tall,
yeah.
skinny guy with the funny
Oh.
hat.
I know. I don't know.
Anyway, you totally made me lose track.
Hey, we want to, we want to thank our guests.
We did that. We want to thank our
Listeners,
listeners,
yeah.
some of whom are probably going to write in and go, well, of course this actor's name is, and fill in the
I
blank.
love to throw her off. It's awesome. I'm doing it again. Watch.
Yes.
She's gonna not want.
And
now she doesn't know that.
until next time.
You
right.
talk about binge listens and all that stuff.
No, see, you
See,
threw me off.
I got you. I got you.
All right. If you're going to watch the video version, you go to YouTube. If they allow this is talking about
This
the
might
Arizona
not be
audit,
allowed.
and they
Ooh.
might censor this particular episode or our show entirely.
If
You
they
never
put
know
us in
what they're
jail,
going to
send us a
do.
file.
Yeah. A place that does not get censored, that is very First Amendment friendly, is gunstreamer.com. Please go there and find our shows. Also, the smartphone app, OpsLens, OPSLENS. And if you like the audio only version, which to see that ballot and the black light on the ballot, that is worth looking
Yep.
up the video version of this show. But if you like the audio version, go to GunFreedomRadio.com, click the on-demand tab, and binge listen to your heart's content.
Darling.
And you can click the guest tab. You'll see photos and bios and links to the pages that Wendy Rogers was talking about, and all of our guests have their own links to their works. It's a great resource, and we don't hate it when you spend time there. All right, now we're going to wrap
We're going to
up.
pray for our nation.
Going to pray for our leaders.
Pray for our leaders.
How about the ones you don't like, Dan? Even them? Maybe especially them. See, this is where he gets quiet. All right. Until next time, be good to each
When
other.
we're fighting, whenever we're having a discussion and she doesn't want me to talk, she's, oh, Danny, just pray for your leader. Pray for the ones you don't like. And I'll
what I
quieten up. Yeah. Guys, thank you very much for listening to us today, and God bless.
Be good to each other. Have a